Let's ride the wave. Hello, folks. This is episode 219 of the HiTech podcast, and this is one of your two co-hosts, William Illingworth, joined by my buddy, my pal, my friend, my confidant, my comrade, my colleague, my connoisseur, my contestant, my champion,
Contestant.
Joshua Swartz. I don't know.
I'm a contestant.
I think
This keeps expanding every episode. You keep like adding this in. I think it's funny.
I got a
like
lot of
it.
words in there.
Yeah,
I think
you did. That was like pretty much all of them. I'm really focused on contestant though. Like, am I playing a game show? Is this
Welcome to the HiTech game show where
this
everything's
is
made up and the points don't matter.
yeah? This is the ooh yeah. Ooh, we should just do a podcast series of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Just a side
Whose
note.
tech is it anyways?
Whose
There we
tech?
go.
Ooh, that has legs. Okay. Sorry.
Josh is taking notes.
I'm taking notes. Yeah, no, that's a good time. I like that. That's fun. Good times.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
Notes are
more
set.
just gonna ask if I was like, if all of life has been nothing, but like I've been in a game show my whole time as a friend with you. Like, this is like nothing's
Simulation.
real. Yeah, this is a simulation.
Yeah.
That would be a better reference for it, you know?
Would you like to know how many points you've made, or would you just like to keep
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to know my points someday. You know, not right now though. Let's keep it a secret. Let's roll with
mystery?
that.
Mystery is
Yeah,
good. Folks,
good
before
mystery.
we get too much further, the usual, the easy stuff, make sure you follow us on all the socials at HiTech Podcast or at HiTech Pod. You can email us, inbox at hitechpod.us. If you've ever done that, you'll know that if it's been recently, it takes some time for me to get back to you. Life is life, but please slide into the inbox and let us know if you'd like to come on the podcast, engage with us, challenge something we've said. Maybe one of our hot takes isn't so hot and you don't think so. Whatever it is, head on over there. And then our website is inbox. No, our website is not inbox. Our website is hitechpod.us. .us even from back in the day. Every one of our episodes has an episode page on that website that you can go to and see some information about what we talked about. If there's any articles or materials that we reference, they'll be there waiting for you. So head on over to hitechpod.us and check those out. Make sure to share that with folks who are interested in the high-tech hijinks. Now, that's the easy stuff. We're here for the hard stuff, the difficult stuff. In fact, the hot stuff. And that hot stuff this week is going to be our first hot take.
This is why we're not titling this hot stuff. Though maybe we should. High-tech hot stuff? That's
It'll be fun. Is this like what's that YouTube channel where they eat the hot wings? And talk about stuff?
I don't remember the name of it now, which just shows how incredibly uncultured the two of us are. Hot Ones. It's called Hot Ones.
Hot
I was gonna
Ones.
say, I knew that was a thing. That's real, and I've seen it. They eat hot wings, but that doesn't sound like fun. Anyway, this is high-tech hot takes is this idea. This is nothing rare on the episode. Rare. I don't know why I said rare. This is a weird night, folks.
You'd meet in your head, you know.
I guess maybe. This is nothing unusual. It's really just an idea that Will and I have been toying around with, which is one of us just brings. Sometimes we hear something that we have such a visceral reaction to. That we like, and it ties to podcast related content that we just want to talk about it on the podcast.
Right. Because I have a visceral reaction to pumpkin spice lattes, but I don't.
Yeah,
think
but
you
we're
need
not
to
a
really talk
latte.
about
This
that.
isn't the high latte podcast. You know what I mean? Like,
Could be.
though that could be a thing. Though I'm pretty sure that one's gonna be pot based, unlike ours. But the like you don't call it high latte and it not be anyway. It's the whole thing. But so I had a reaction, okay, and I've been having a reaction. Is probably more what I should say to a recent.
You should see a doctor.
I knew that was gonna be said. So I've had a reaction to this for a little bit. I'm noticing. So here's the main thing that's caused this. Will, okay. I was reading an article today for a work-related thing, and I won't go much farther than that on the podcast. But the article is basically it's titled "Technology Might Be Making Education Worse." Okay, so which is an interesting listen. I'm totally open to this postulating. Might be first of all, but it's encompassing this thing I'm noticing. recently, which is like this, and it's not like this hasn't been around. There's total schools that are like really against technology and education, and they very low tech. And there's some arguments for that stuff, screen time and things like that, valuable. I'm not here to talk about that component necessarily. Tech
Right.
moderation we might get into a little bit here, and we're totally fans of that to a certain extent, I think, on this podcast. But the line that encompasses the article for me is basically this line, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically this line of, I used to be a big fan of tech, and now I think it might be poisoning all of us. And I have this like extreme reaction to this, because here's what I'm noticing. Okay. I'm noticing in the emergence of AI, but not even just because of AI, the emergence of AI and technology, and the way technology has been moving so quickly, which I think is a genuine concern to have, because we're moving very quickly in tech, especially now that AI is released. I have my own thoughts about that, but this speed at which is happening, I'm noticing not just in education, but in general, this kind of like pendulum swing to, well,
Mm.
now technology is not going to help us. It's evil, right? Like it's ruining everything, right? And so, and she goes on to talk about like arguments about technology and education, and how she used to love. It's funny, she mentioned stuff, Will, that you and I talk about all the time. Like she used to love building interactive learning experiences and all these things, and but then she comments on that it's kind of like technology in many ways is disembodying us from each other. They're, and causing issues in relationships, and none of this is not true. Or she makes something that you'd probably align with, this comment that we're teaching our students that to connect with each other online, connect well and learn, means that you need to give up all your privacy so everything can be tracked.
Oh,
Like
oh,
these are not
oh.
statements I completely disagree with. Her
Right.
landing, obviously she doesn't like that, so that's the part I'm not disagreeing with. But here's my
Right.
hot take. um are we just like constantly pendulum swinging between perspectives? Like what, like we're just reacting. I think the thing I'm getting tired of is when one thing is complicated, it's more simple for us to just throw it in a box of it's all bad. Like it's the
Right.
line about like poisoning us that aggravates me. It's like this, well, now I used to like technology, but now I think it's entirely horrible. Like it's this perspective. And I'm noticing this in some places because they've been finding some studies of like where tech might have been adopted too quickly and was actually causing issues in education and getting in the way of learning. Like I'm not disagreeing with those, but the
Yeah.
reaction
Yeah.
is very much like, well, now tech is just the bad guy. And like, so this is my hot take, is that this is stupid. Like, um,
Nailed it.
um, this is,
Well,
am I being unfair? Am I being a biased technologist who likes technology and does a podcast on it? And I'm biased, so I'm not
what
listening appropriately. Like, you know what I mean?
what gets me about that statement, right? I'll just continue. We'll just continue to boil down the paraphrase to tech is poison. Tech is poisoning us, right?
Yeah.
What bothers me about that is, okay, Janice, what tech? Which specific tech? Because if somebody comes into the classroom or into this moment, 2025, October, and says, "Oh, tech's poisoning us. We gotta do something." Well, all right, what are you gonna do? Well, AI. Okay, sure. AI is easy. Like no AI in the classroom, no papers can be used with it. Like we're just gonna come on in with band hammers. Okay, cool. Like I get that. That's a big sore thumb. But that's it. You're not going to stop the laptops. You remember we had a faculty member who wouldn't let us use our laptops in our
Oh yeah, and that's
classes
still a
as students, right?
conversation. I've seen people bring
Um,
this up, and she specifically points to a couple things, and I'm being unfair because I'm just paraphrasing the article. So like, to the
sure,
author's defense,
sure.
I'm probably not being the best. We're not hard journalism here at the HiTech Podcast. This is more just our thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
But like, there's literally a criticism of like, well, okay, the LMS is helpful, but it limits the way that students can submit things, and it just turns them into data points. And it's like, oh my gosh, everything limits something. Like, there's
So that's
always,
the whole. I've heard that argument, like it's the bell hooks argument. I understand un-LMSs and de-LMSing and the LMS. So like I was saying though. Okay, so if it's not the AI, all right, we take out the AI. All right, is that
yeah,
enough? No. Okay, so we got to take out the LMS. Okay, now what? Well, we got to take out PowerPoints. Okay, now what? What are you going to do? How many layers are you going to peel back of the technology before you're literally sitting in a field reciting lectures? Like this, I'm not actually judging that statement. I don't want
Yeah,
to say that's a bad thing. I think that there's value in going into a field and having a lecture. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But like when people come at it like this hot take that you're suggesting, Josh, it's like, well, what's enough? What would be enough tech that we could take out of the classroom that it would be not poisonous anymore? Pencils? I mean, do we have to go back to quills? Like what is the amount of technology that has to be removed to make things healthy again? And that is your pendulum point. If we're so far over here and tech is poisonous, how far over here are you going to go to find non-poisonous technology? You're
yeah,
not. I think it's pick and choosy. I think it's really
yeah.
biased. You know, like we're
Well,
expressing
and
our
I
own
think
bias, but like people who come at this, like, come on, folks, calm
I
down.
think I think the problem I'm struggling with is like it's this perspective, and for those listening, because we're not really just an education podcast anymore. This is not just education in my mind. I'm seeing this across work fields.
Sure,
I'm seeing this across spaces.
sure.
And don't get me wrong, I think we need to. We've talked about this in the podcast a lot, and I still always wrestle with this. What does healthy engagement with tech look like? And what is too
Hmm.
far, right? What is going too far into the space where like there is a reality where like complete remote worked employees who are just chatting with each other, there's a disembodiedness to it to a certain degree, right? But it's also the way you interact with the tool that's part of the and I think this is part of the reason that I get
Yeah.
frustrated is it's because we keep going to what I would call a reductionistic argument, which is that like
Yes.
the we see these problems as a result of technology, and so technology is the problem. But it's like now I come from a Christian background and belief, and I consider myself a believer. Obviously, I work at a Christian school. That's a pretty kind of obvious thing. I guess maybe not anymore in these days. But the sorry, I went somewhere probably we're not supposed to. We don't go very often. The HiTech podcast.
It's fine.
But
It's our podcast. Who
I
cares?
come from a belief system that like we this is going to be reductionist as well. That like we're the problem, we're fallen people, and we have our own mistakes and our own um, misgivings, and I feel like we just keep blaming all of that on technology. Now, to this author's point, I do agree with. She talks about how technology shapes us in certain ways. And how we interact with it, and the tools that we're using, and the environments that we use, they shape how we interact with the world and how we interact with each other, and that's absolutely true. But like, it's not just because you found four things that it shapes badly based on the way we interact does not mean the entire thing is bad. I was just recently reading an article on this idea of like online education disembodied us with people, and the person was actually arguing, well, like, okay, like to a certain degree, sure, but like it's all about how you interact online. There's a way to interact online where you actually bring yourself to the experience and you engage with people. And it's not the same as sitting in a room, but I've had a lot of really good community with people online. It's
Yes.
not like it's not a thing that doesn't happen.
Right.
So like, does the connection
And
look different? Sure. Does it change the way we interact when it's done unhealthily? When that's the only type of connection you have, does that change the way you interact with the world? Sure. But again, it's all about the way that you're doing it. It's
right.
about the moderation. It's about how we balance. It's about balancing how we use technology versus other ways we're not just using technology for everything, balancing ways of just not sitting in a screen 24/7. But I just feel like it's always either you like tech or we burn down every piece of technology. Like
Right.
there's
Well,
always this,
if
there's never this in between.
isn't it fun when anybody actually looks up the history of Luddites, right? And they're like, "Oh, you're a Luddite because you don't use technology," and you find out that was actually like a pretty cultish movement, and they attacked people and were terrorists and burnt things down. Like, we don't actually want to be Luddites, folks. It's
Yeah,
okay if you're a Luddite and you don't use tech, but like the Luddites actually were terrorists and hurt people and destroyed things. So there's a big difference, right, when we consider that. But I want to come back to one point you're making there because it's very near and dear to my heart. The point of embodiment is important,
hmm
and I share your background, at least in knowledge and general understanding of faith, of like incarnation and embodiment are very important to a religious context and to many religions, and even folks who are a-religious still do mindfulness practices and stuff to feel their body and understand their body in different ways. But while embodiment is a good thing, there's a certain attitude when it comes to this conversation with technology that says it's the best thing. And I'm not saying it's not a great thing. Embodiment, and I personally love to put my technology down. I love to spend a technology time, right? I'm okay with that. But that attitude about when it comes to this technology issue is that it's best. And if it's not embodied, then it's almost, unfortunately, it's wrong. And that you were kind of speaking to that a little bit, but like I spent probably 4 years of my teens making friends and dealing with people almost exclusively online. And that community was very important to me. Right? Those
Yeah.
people that were in London and New York and Alabama, and these folks that I was meeting and communicating with and becoming quote unquote best friends with online, they were very important to me. And I spent a lot of time chatting and voice calls and whatever. We had a lot of fun. We made a lot of crazy stuff, whatever, like, but that was 4 years of my life, substantive. It's not like I did it for a
Mhm.
month or two, right? 4 or so years I spent online with these people, and it was all disembodied, and yet we made good relationships and we made a lot of fun, and we created cool things, websites and forums and stuff. Like, it was very impactful to me.
Mhm.
So when someone comes at this issue, like you're saying, is like this is poison or disembodiment is wrong or blah blah blah, I'm like, folks, it's okay if it's not for you. I think Josh and I both stand by that. It's okay if high tech is not for everyone. But to come at this hard thing and saying it's poisonous, it's wrong, it can be harmful. Yes, it can be harmful, but it is not inherently harmful. And I think that's one of those messages one of those lessons I still remember from college. Marshall McLuhan's the medium is the message statement. Like,
Yeah.
tech is just a thing, folks. It's how we use it. Yes, I do believe I'll get on a hot take. I'd say that we are over AIing things right now, but it's a brand new toy. Everyone's so
Yeah.
excited to use
I would
it.
I would agree. I would also agree. I
It's
think
okay.
we're over AIing things. I was just having a conversation with a coworker about this, like where trying to balance when I'm trying to use AI on something and I feel like I've just taken more time to just like figure out how to use it on this thing when it would have ended up just being less time for me to do it. You know what I mean? We've all
Yep.
been there
Two
explaining things. So I
2/5 of the time, 1/5 of the
yeah,
time,
right, like
definitely.
it's a kind of a
That's
balancing act, but this is a good point, right? So I was just actually writing a blog post about this for something, and the which, by the way, don't agree to things and then regret it immediately
I
afterwards.
know
That's
what you're
where
talking about.
that's where I was at. The so I was close to the word count I was supposed to be in. It was a little rough. But
Fine.
I was recently watching. So, a guy I follow, John Dyer from oh my goodness, where's he at now? I think Dallas Seminary,
Okay.
theological. Anyway, he's somebody who talks in tech all the time, and he comes also similar from theological and kind of tech perspective. But he's talking about AI, and this is in regards to them releasing new policies around it. And what I thought was really interesting, he made an argument that I also agree with, and I've seen for a while, right? Where he's this idea, Will, that we're both very familiar with, which is that like every tech brings good and bad uses with it, right? And I would
Yes.
argue, I
Yeah.
actually come from the argument that I don't think technology is actually amoral. People will make that argument. I think technology
Fair.
has leanings, right? Like, can it be used in good and bad ways? I do believe that no matter what any technology, right? But do they have certain leanings,
Fair.
right? Like a nuclear
Fair.
bomb has a leaning, okay?
What do
Um,
you mean? It can start
like
societies
like
after it
you,
ends the other ones.
you know what I mean? Like a spear has a leaning, like
I
it's
used my spears exclusively for cooking, okay?
okay, yeah, right. Like Will only makes his steak with spears. Actually, this is a totally different podcast episode. Cooking food with weapons. I just tossing this out there. Like or cooking food with different tech. This is just a random idea. That would actually think I'd be really funny. Sorry, we can talk more about this later. But like they have leanings, right? The good bad uses case, and like the case he
Yes.
gives, I was
Yeah.
actually very interested. It was a good example, where he's like, for instance, the way you can kind of see as technology upticks, right, and the way we're using digital technology, the way it's being implemented in food sources and agriculture and things, you see very quickly food access in the world at large, not everywhere. Okay, I want to agree there are countries that this is still a problem, but at
Right.
large in society has become much more accessible. People are get access to food, right? So he shows this on a chart, he breaks it down, and then he breaks down, but he said even this is a positive use of technology, but there's a negative side of it, which is people got more use to eating more food. We also had more problems controlling intake. And that's, you can see almost a direct production of obesity going up as
Yeah.
food becomes more accessible more widely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, right. And so his argument is there's good and bad situations, right? And he tries to make this argument that it's about kind of like our own controlling of ourselves and kind of the way we use things, and that's absolutely true. I mean, you look at a lot of technology, it's like a lot of the bad use cases you're giving as examples were not just innocent bystanders sitting around. Like it's the way
The
we
cell phone
chose
didn't
to
get up and
engage
dance
it.
itself across the,
Yeah,
the
like if you
yeah.
have a problem with students being tracked all the time, stop tracking them all the time. It's not like they're just magically now data points in technology. You're actively doing it. You know what I mean? And there's good and bad cases for tracking that data. You and I both argue there's a lot of good ways to track great data to see similar use cases in learning and see how learning
Right.
is happening. There's also a lot of bad ways to use it in which a person just becomes a data point and they're not actually a human being, and we act
We're
like we
looking
can
at
just
you, turn it
control.
in.
Oh yeah, don't get me started. It's a new thing again.
So one thing one thing I'll say though on the point you were just making about data points, like I, I think there's been a an inverse relationship with data where it's like, oh, we can do all this, we can track all this data. And so a researcher says, well, what could we learn from that? Okay, in one sense, I'm good with that, right? A
Yeah,
researcher can take on a task to see if we use this data, can we identify how to better something? Can we make learning better, teaching better, blah, 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 blah. But then all of a sudden, that same ability and that same data and that same um, research approach to it is in the hands of every instructor. And what we both know from research is that if you are going to do a research study, there's an IRB, an internal review board involved, and there's a ton of ethical considerations to how you approach and use that data. When you do not have that on every faculty member, but they have the access to the same amount of data for that research, you have the opportunity for a problem, right?
yeah,
A researcher researches the data with an ethical constraint. They will anonymize everything. They will not use it against the students. They will not publish it falsely. They will not misrepresent the data, right? There's a lot of constraints on a researcher. You put that same amount of data in Joe Schmo's hands, and you do not have the
yeah.
guarantees
It's a valuable
that they're
point,
going to
right?
use that well.
Yeah. And to this point, like to the credit of like the author of this article and some of the other people I've heard, it always ends with like, I'm not totally against tech. I'm just asking for more caution. But like
Uh-huh.
when we say those lines and then we also say it's poisoning us, you're not causing for more caution. You're pendulum swinging to a new thing you don't like.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I'm kind of this is a bigger hot take episode probably than just technology, but I'm just like over the extremes of perspectives constantly. Like it's just
I can't imagine why you're saying that in the year of our Lord 2025.
I'm just exhausted with it, and I'm tired of seeing this in education and
Yeah.
technology too, where it's like we
Yeah.
can't have any healthy conversations. We can't have openness to explore and make mistakes. Like it's like you're gonna, you know what? Guess what? You are not the best teacher in the world, and you're never going to be. Like we
What's
will always be struggling, making mistakes. The education system will never be perfect. There is no utopia we are running towards.
Well, and
Like
we
this
can
is
point towards the today problems, like we've already pointed out, AI, whatever. But like I actually recently re-met a former colleague, so he and I worked at the same place for some
Did
time,
you
and he interacted
did
with.
you MIB erase them from your memory and then you re-met them? Is that
Uh, we
I'm more
hadn't
curious
like
what re-meeting is. That's the I've now gotten
okay,
completely distracted.
I can set this back up. He was a faculty member at a school I worked at, and
Oh,
he
okay.
worked with my office, and he knew my boss and some of my colleagues, but he and I didn't work on a project together. So we had literally been in faculty seminars together. He had been in my physical office and presence
Okay.
before. He had come to my lunch and learns, but like he and I hadn't really met. Does that make a little more
No,
sense? Like, so
that makes more sense.
he's
I
a friend of
liked
a
the
friend, and
MIB memory eraser better, but that's what
you
I'm gonna remember. That you just
oh,
erase him from
this
the
is
memory.
my neuralizer.
That's what Will does
Um,
when he leaves places. He just like thump,
I wish
just
it'd be
dead
so
to him.
easy. Well, I met him, friend of a friend kind of thing. We are out watching some football, and oh, good dude, it's good, so good to see you. And he's sharing some of the like swapping war stories, right? He's
Yeah.
sharing some of the things that he went through as a faculty member at that former institution, former of mine, and it's just like at the end of the day, these faculty are trying to teach. They need tools. They need new ideas, new things to work with, and asking for those tools, getting new technology, getting technology replaced. He was just telling me all this stuff that was just such a waste of time, such a waste of effort. He was saying his laptop got stolen. Okay, so his work laptop got stolen. So he's trying to get a laptop replacement for his day-to-day work laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not his fault. It had been stolen. All these requisition orders, they had to send emails, people got CC'd. It was just a fight to get a laptop replacement for this guy. When at the end of the day, he had a conversation with his VP of IT, and he said, "Oh, I wish you'd just come to me. I've got a budget for that. It doesn't matter. I like a computer means nothing in my $10 million budget. Like, just come to me next time." But there's this attitude about technology and the cost of it and access to it and procurement. And we said before we started recording tonight, you were talking about some issue you have with academic red tape.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Don't even get me started.
this, this stuff is available to us and it's not poison, and we need the chance to use it and try and learn and test and trial. And yet there's so much that gets in the way of doing it, whether it's budgets and red tape and constraints on just getting a laptop replaced, or if it's people writing these articles claiming that it's all poison, practically being the 2025 Luddite saying, like back in the day of the Luddites, so that actual physical response at that time was I believe it was the cotton mills, cotton gins, and they were burning them down, literally burning these equipment down because they believed it was going to change society and it was going to ruin humanity. Spoiler alert, it might have. Um,
That's
but like,
actually we're gonna get to the end, and that's gonna be the tracing moment. It's gonna be like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing, where it's just like totally unexpected, and it turns out like they were actually right. It makes me
if
think of
we
oh my gosh, what's the show where they die and they go to heaven, with
the good place,
the Good Place, yeah, where they're in the
right?
office and he says like that guy Kevin was right all along. Like that's gonna be the moment.
Right.
It's gonna
The
be like
Luddites had it,
the
right?
Luddites were actually right. The cotton gin just ruined it all. That's what took it's what took you down.
Um, Now I could be wrong. Forgive me, anybody who knows real history, and that's not the thing they got. Will cancel me for getting the Luddite story wrong,
Please
please.
do. That would actually be the funniest way Will gets canceled.
You know what though? Fine. I don't care. That's a representation of the rest of my day. But so train of thought is completely
Sorry,
gone.
I completely ruined that.
Just this whole thing, right? We're seeing this culmination of folks where we're making bigger issues out of it than there is, and it's okay. This person who's saying it's okay. Don't do it then. Don't do it for yourself. But sorry, the point that I was getting around to is they are their own Luddite because you don't need to burn down cotton gins anymore. You need to convince people it's evil. You need to make an ideology around something, right? I know people who are morally opposed to AI. Are you morally opposed to tires? Are you morally opposed to your dishwasher? It's a tool, folks. Why are you morally opposed to a tool? I
Yeah,
understand why they are, but like this moment right now, right? You don't need to be a Luddite. You don't have to burn things down to stop something. You have to create an ideology and you have to make something evil. And now
yeah.
that's the Luddite
So
movement in
harkening back to an
2025.
old episode, you just need to create a cult. And then that
Yes.
becomes
Yes. Yes.
no, and I want to be careful. I'm not we should be cautious about how we use technology. And I very much agree with the idea that technology shapes us in ways that we don't always understand, right? Like a perfect example would be like actually the John Dyer thing, we was talking about this too, where it was like a technology thing that you don't always think about the impacts, right? Is when they started being able to produce more clothes, or no, it was actually the dishwasher, or the washing machine.
Clothes
This is an
washer.
interesting
Yeah.
historical fact, right? So when the
Yeah.
washing machine's coming out, I know it's going to surprise you, but people argued that it was a bad thing because it was going to forever change society.
How many times have we said that this episode?
I know, it's like it's crazy. But like the thing is though that there is an interesting fact around this, right? If you look at when the dishwasher or the washing machine gets created, there was this promise. It's so funny. It's like I could literally attach everything that's happening about AI to the freaking washing machine. Okay, so like you got a group who thinks the washing machine's gonna ruin everything. You've got a group that thinks now that we have the washing machine and the dishwasher, we'll never have to work again at home. Like things are gonna be perfect.
Yes.
We will live in this utopia.
All chores will be
It's
gone.
gonna be amazing. All chores will be gone. It makes me think of, so you've never gone to Disney World, right? That's the
what this past year? My first
oh,
time.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. You went.
Yeah.
Did you go into oh, what was it? Like the first ride that Disney ever created? It's the
Haunted Mansion? I have no idea.
Wheel of
I know nothing
Tomorrow
about
or
Disney.
something. I gotta look
doesn't
this up
sound
real
familiar.
quick. First
The Wheel of Time is a
ride
book. Brandon Sanderson.
Disney created time thing. I don't know. I don't remember what it's called.
That's why we should have AI just listening to us as we record.
Yeah. No.
telling us
We're gonna
things.
look this up. Disney Railroad is apparently one of them. That's fun.
Oh.
A trip back in time. Disneyland rides. Carousel of Progress. There we go. It's called the Carousel of Progress. Okay.
Never heard of it. It sounds terrifying.
This was a family staple for the Swartz family when you would go to Disney. Okay. It was like one of those old animatronic things, right? But what was like fun about it is it was like you were in like a little theater and it turns. Okay. You'd like turn and you go through periods of time, right? Following the same kind of family. Right. And so you'd see like electricity happen for the first time and you'd hear people talk about electricity and like how it's going to influence things.
Right.
And then you move on and you eventually, it's hilarious. You eventually get to like a world where there's like a flat screen TV and VR headset, which I think is like the most hilarious thing.
Yeah, that's the future.
That's the future. So like they get through these, right? But there's a conversation in there where it's like, you'll never have to do chores again. Everything will be perfect, right? So John Dyer in his video, he's talking about this. It's interesting. He says like what actually ended up happening is, yes, it did change society dramatically, but one of the negative side effects was we couldn't, just like with food, handle our intake. So we started making more clothes cheaper because now you could own more clothes because you could wash more clothes. And so we actually ended up making more work for ourselves by making something easier.
Yes.
Here's the one thing that is true in almost all of these things. The second we make something easier, humanity is very good at not balancing ourselves and just going full force into it.
It's the vacuum effect, right? You suck things out, something's got to fill the space. And you know, it's very easy, like in that setup, like it's very easy to see that in the context of the family or the household. Like just take the restaurant as a metaphor, right? When before the dishwasher, dishes had to be washed by someone. You only have a finite amount of dishes, and so
speak for yourself.
really,
My ancestors just burned them. That was
love that. In a night, right? Let's say the restaurant opens at 5 o'clock, it closes at 11 p.m. You can only serve X people, right? You only have so much capacity to clean dishes, turn them around to be cooked on for new things. Well, you introduce the dishwasher, and now you can double or triple that capacity in a night, right? But what do you know, like, do you need more staff? Do you need more dishes? Because you did, now that you can clean them faster, you can use more, you can turn them around. Like, it, there's one thing that changed, the dishwasher, and yet the ripple effects are all around the restaurant. You need more busboys, you need more dishes, you need more time, you need, it's crazy.
So to this whole point, what I'm coming around to this is I do want to make sure we acknowledge one thing on the podcast, which is that I don't disagree with that technology shapes us. And I don't disagree with that there are sometimes unintended impacts that aren't positive. on
Right.
society. Like I 100% agree with that component. The problem I have is that when we find one, we decide because we can't just be leveled with this. We don't ask the question of how can I combat that negative thing. The solution is let's remove the thing. Like that's and this is where I think my hot take is this dynamic of technology is just ruining education, it's ruining the workforce, it's ruining these things. I think is oversimplistic, and I think is a reductionistic argument, and it's not going to get us anywhere till us actually doing this better, and it's not
Yeah.
helping people think about how to cautiously integrate tech, because all you're doing is gaining the people who agree with you the technology is bad and pushing away the people who don't, and the people like Will and I who are a little bit more in the middle just seem to keep getting stuck between the two of you, and I don't like
Mhm.
it. I'm like,
Leave us alone.
I'm tired of this, okay? It's been a long week, and it's
And
only
it's
for
Wednesday.
us, it's only Wednesday. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a perfect conclusion on this. I think my overall take on this is just yes, technology has negative side effects, and it is something that we have to be careful of and carefully evaluate how we're using tech. And she calls in the article for intentionality behind using tech, and I
Sure.
100% agree with that. I
Right.
100% agree with technology, but it's this inflammatory language and this extreme reactions that's not getting us anywhere. And I don't think it's a careful reaction to the way you use technology. And the fact of the matter is, we're talking about this on the podcast. Like our podcast can change that happening. Our brief study of society shows that this is basically just gonna keep happening.
Right.
Like because this
We're
is
on the we're on the wheel.
we
The
do
wheel
it with
turns.
everything. Socrates was angry at the pencil. You know what I mean? Like all it took was sharpening wood, and somebody was like, "I'm, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
kids. It's
done.
kids these
I'm done." Wait,
days.
people can write things down now. This is absurd. I'm finished.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I may as well just throw myself off a cliff. Um, I think I think that the positive message, if I wanted someone to walk away changed with this
yeah.
episode
If you want to
is,
come with that's good. Let's have a positive message instead of my
yeah,
negative one.
you know, it is okay to challenge the safety or the process or the use of these technologies. It's okay to
Oh
challenge.
yeah, 100%.
We challenge things on the regular. I caution people. I would ask, like I think to Josh's point, it's not venom, people. It's not poison. We're not going to
Yeah,
kill people with these things. There are classrooms being negatively affected, but again, those are opportunities in and of themselves, right? If you have a faculty member who's relying too much on AI and one that's not using it at all, both are opportunities to see a new way to teach. Because at the end of the day, I think Josh and I still both agree to this and stand on this. Teaching is about transforming students' lives.
yeah,
And I I would say things that I would have to edit out of this episode left and right, okay? If you, as a teacher, regardless of your tool, are not committed to transforming your students' lives, I don't care if you're using AI or not, you're the problem. So, focused first and foremost on the goal of transforming students' lives, of making them better, of giving them more and novel information. And if you're going to use AI to do it, do it. And if you're not, don't. And it's okay. But like Josh was saying earlier, it doesn't have to be extreme, folks. We don't have to demonize each other while doing this. Focus on the goal. That goal is true, has been true forever. Socrates agreed to the goal. He just didn't like the pencil to accomplish it. And that goal is still true today, right? Like we're fighting with AI, we're learning this tool. It's a new thing, it's a challenging thing, it's a tough thing, but dang it, all any of us want to do, all Josh and I are committed to in the work we do for education, for educators, is to change students' lives. That's the good thing. That's the positive goal that we all agree to. So,
yeah. Speak for yourself.
I
I
think
think
an
it's.
article,
I don't think it's about that at all. You know, I think it's just about the money.
yeah,
You know.
gosh,
Uh,
try saying that one again. I'll hit record. Oh wait, we're recording. Um, it's what I believe this article does is it potentially hurts teachers who are seeking that goal and could be doing something good with AI.
yeah,
Just because you don't want to or you can't or you don't think it is right doesn't mean someone else isn't.
yeah. And
And
I
the, and
also I would just add, I
Yeah.
think, to that is like the positive side of this is what I'm basically asking people to do is to just slow down and try to focus on finding out what the real problem is. Right. And in some cases, it is going to be some of the tech that you're using. Right. It's going to
Hmm.
be some of the practices that you're going to use. It's going to be if you're using Kahoot, the music that you've decided to relentlessly hit us with,
Ooh.
it's the there you are going to find those problems. But I think what's often happening is we're blaming tech for things that aren't necessarily the sole problem, and then we're not actually dealing with the underlying problems that are there. So like you're just replacing it for something else, and I
Yeah.
think that's so really it all comes back to the 37 signals philosophy of pitching and finding the problem that we talk about on the podcast all the time.
Um,
I think that's
Folks, just complete left, fourth wall, talking straight to you, listener. It's 37 signals. It's Notion. It's AI. It's one of those
well,
three
it's not
things that's going to
always
come up
Notion. Sometimes
every
Notion does
episode.
make it more complicated. No,
But
like
one of those three things is going to make it into every episode.
yeah, probably somewhere along those lines. But yeah, no, I like your positive spin on this. The reality of is we need to focus on what the goals are, and
Yeah.
I agree with this statement from the article of being intentional about technology. We should be intentional about using it. I think intentionality just means also not throwing a giant swath of it's all evil,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
making it worse. Like because I don't think that's actually helping, and I think that's not always true, right? There are plenty of students who have access to education now that didn't have access to education before because of technology and online space. And so it's not all evil. It's not all bad. It's not all poisoning us. There are ways we could use it better. Probably having students just learn out of VR headsets from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. is probably not the best option out there. I mean, there's some clear bad use cases. I mean, that I will get behind, but like I don't know. I think
I was
in
just
general
on
is
a
just
I
being
was just on
intentional about it.
a I was just on an 8-hour flight, and I'm pretty sure I wore my over-ear headphones for like 7 of those hours, and my head hurt afterwards. So the
Yeah,
idea of using a VR headset to learn all day is terrifying. Like
yeah,
that's the worst idea.
yeah,
That is poison. No, I'm joking. Joking,
yeah. Well, maybe.
but
But
not.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. We don't have a perfect conclusion here. This is just kind of generally, I think, where we're going. We're musing. This is what high tech hot takes are like, because we've clearly done them so often. We know the
Yeah,
general
yeah, yeah.
format that we follow. That's for sure. Okay. On that note, folks, just a reminder. Make sure to find us on the socials. Twitter, YouTube, Threads, all of those things. You can find us at HiTech Podcast or at HiTech Pod. If you'd like to email us, let us know how much you disagreed with what we said today. Or you're like, man, this cult theme that keeps showing up in the HiTech Podcast has got me concerned. You can let us know at inbox@hitechpod.us, and we'd be happy to connect with you there. And by we, I mean Will. But I would be happy to see Will do that, and then I will hear about it at a meeting about the podcast. You can also find us on our website, hitechpod.us. Make sure to go check that out. We post an episode page all the time. We post resources most of the time. And you can find those there on the website at hitechpod.us. All right, folks, this is a wrap on another week. Empowering minds.
Embracing tech. Cheers.
Cheers.
Buckle up, let's ride the wave. Future's calling, tech to crave. High tech podcast light the way. Join the journey, click and play.